In the middle of a bounce-back season, is Bo Bichette a long-term option for the Blue Jays? Hey everyone, welcome into another edition of Long Ball. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Toronto Sun Blue Jays writer Rob Longley. And Rob, it was a record-setting performance in many different ways for the Blue Jays in Colorado against a putrid Rockies team. But now things are a little bit different, heading into a series against the Dodgers, which begins on Friday. We'll talk about that momentarily. But for Bo Bichette, a bit of a homecoming, of course. His dad, Dante, played many years in Colorado, and Bo kind of looked like Dante, hitting a bunch of homers in that three-game sweep over the Rockies. And I think everybody's been talking about this for most of the season, but especially now, right now, with the season that Bo is having. Heading into his contract year, there were a lot of question marks of whether or not he could get back to the player he was for most of his career, and at least so far he has done that this season, Rob. But when you look at his future, is Toronto the team that you see him ending up with heading into next season?
Well, it's certainly possible, Rob, but if there were still cash registers everywhere, the sound you would be hearing today is cash registers clicking with every home run he hits, and not just home runs, of course. I mean, as you mentioned, he leads the American League in hits again, something he's already done twice in his career, and he's really putting together the prototypical contract year type of season. And you know, it's been clear from the outset that he's going to test the open market, and if you were in his shoes and his cleats, why would you not? But that doesn't mean that doesn't preclude the Blue Jays from being in that mix. And to me, it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, because one of the variables that can play into this is if he really wants to play for a winner, and that's something that he's maintained throughout his career. If he wants to play for a winner, and the Blue Jays have a prolonged postseason run, and even go as far as the World Series, that could be a factor in his decision going forward. But wherever he's going to go, they're going to have to pay a lot of money to make it happen. That's pretty clear. The deeper he gets into this season, and it's been that way from the outset, been that way from spring training. And credit to him for putting last year behind him and charging forward into what's going to be a very lucrative future for him.
So the Blue Jays now heading into a different environment here, Rob, against the Dodgers for the first of three on Friday night. LA, of course, coming into the season as the World Series champions from last year. They're still star-studded, but maybe not playing their best baseball right now. We know when we talk about the game of baseball, sometimes it's not who you play, but when you play them. How do you feel the Blue Jays are looking heading into this series against the Dodgers, and then beyond that, coming home against another tough team against the Chicago Cubs?
Yeah, I think it's going to be very intriguing to see what happens, and certainly worth staying up late for to watch. Yes, the Dodgers haven't been in their top form all season long, but they're still the World Series champions, and they're still the division leaders in the NL West, and they still have a power-packed lineup. And to me, that's the most intriguing matchup in the series. Everybody's talking about the pitching matchups, particularly in the opener, Clayton Kershaw against Max Scherzer. But to me, I'm interested to see how the Blue Jays are going to handle the elite bats in the order for the Dodgers. Whether it's Shohei Ohtani, whether it's Teoscar Hernandez, Mookie Betts, and you can keep going on and on, right? The Blue Jays pitching staff has been impressive of late. And if they're going to go anywhere in the playoffs, they're going to have to be able to navigate those types of lineups. So to me, that's going to be the story of this series, how the pitching holds up against the elite bats of the Dodgers. And then they come right back home with a day off, but a long trip back home from LA, and face the Cubs, who are, if it weren't for the Milwaukee Brewers, would be seen as one of the top teams in the NL as well, and playing very good ball at this point. So this is sort of a critical six game stretch in their season, I think. The good thing for them is that they put themselves in a position that it's already a successful road trip by sweeping the miserable Colorado Rockies. So if they were to take one of three in LA, it would still be a success. And if they were to take two and then possibly even sweep, it would be a resounding success. So they do a good job of rising to the challenge of some of the better teams. If we think back to last month, Rob, when they swept the Yankees to move into first place, and when they took 3 or 4 from the Tigers, and when they swept the Giants, who were a pretty good team at the time that they met. So yeah, I think it's going to be a big 6-game stretch for them, and we'll see how they stand up against two of the better teams in the National League.
Well, I think if you had told people that this would be a potential World Series matchup at the start of the season, people would laugh at you. But as you said, the Blue Jays are now in that position with the best record in the AL, going up against two of the top teams in the National League. As always, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. For Rob Longley, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you on the next one.